We are just 8 days away from the ICC T20 World Cup 2024, and we have one of the hosts out here, the West Indies, a fascinating team, a very dangerous side. I have Deep with me. Deep, welcome to the show. Is the mighty West Indies. You cannot never rule them out, but this time, every single year, just like that, they're mighty strong this time. Talk us through this team, please.
I think this time they are like one of the favorites, I would say. And if you look at their recent performances, the last four series that they have played, they have defeated South Africa, they have defeated India, they have defeated England, and I think they lost a series against Australia, but they didn't play their full strength team there. They were
Absolutely.
just trying out. So I think they are in real great form. They are home team. They are the hosts. So and their group is also very interesting. We'll talk about it later. So I have a lot of
Absolutely.
hopes from this team this time.
Absolutely. And when it comes to their ongoing series against South Africa as well, they are also leading that one. So they are into it. But let's take a look at the squad. Yeah, it is team starting with the top four players: Johnson, Charles, Shai Hope, Brandon King, and then you have Roscoe Days. A couple of wicket keepers there in the team. But what's your take? You cannot have so many players around. But do you think either of Johnson, Charles, or Shai Hope will be there in the mix of the openers?
So if you look at how they have progressed since last couple of series, so initially they were going with Brandon King, Kyle Mayers, and Johnson Charles, and this kind of setup was not working for them. So they dropped Kyle Mayers and they brought in Shai Hope. So Shai Hope is their fix at number three, along whom they'll play. So the top three is definitely Johnson Charles, Brandon King, and Shai Hope, and then they have to see whether they have to play Roston Chase or not, and we can discuss it when we'll discuss the mid order and finishers.
Absolutely. But what could be the reason behind not picking up a Kyle Mayers? Because I think out of these three, I won't say Rashton Chase because he might be a little bit effective in that West Indian surface as the tournament progresses. But you could have probably chosen out of these top three players, one person to be ruled out and then get a Kyle Mayers into the opening slot.
I don't think so. The reason being that if you look at their bowling options, and we'll come to this later, but the point here is who is a better new ball bowler in their setup? Alzari Joseph is definitely one guy, but who will bowl along with Alzari Joseph? So they have two all-round options, and they have tried both of them. So they have tried Kyle Mayers and Romario Shefford. And I think bowling-wise with the new ball, Romario Shefford has been more effective as compared to Kyle Mayers, and Romario Shefford is someone who can play at 7-8.
Yeah.
So if you have Romario Shefford, then Kyle Mayer's utility as an all-rounder goes down, and that's why they have probably picked a proper opener in terms of Johnson Charles and Brandon King and Shai Hope. If they want, they can leave Johnson Charles out of the equation and they can play an extra spinner if they want. So I think this is the kind of strategy that they have gone about.
Okay, so you have summed it up pretty well about their top order, what they look into. But as the batting order goes down and down, you have the power hitters coming up. Number four, starting with Shimran Hetma, you have Nicholas Puran. I expect him to bat a little bit higher up the order compared to how Lucknow Super Giants used him. You have Robman Powell as well. Here are the top three hard hitting all rounders that can play in the number 4, 5, and 6. Have us through along with a Sharfin Rutherford. I don't think so. Sharfin Rutherford, as of now, makes a start into my playing 11, but the rest three definitely does.
Yeah, I completely agree with the point. So they are probably seeing Sherfin Rutherford as someone who will come into the picture only if Dre Russ is injured and Dre Russ can't give you those 3 overs back. So it's pretty straightforward middle order, and the kind of strategy that they have applied here is that so if you look at the India series that they have played, so they have played Nicholas Poolen at three, Shai Hope at four, and then
Yep.
Hetmeyer at five and Powell at six. So it gives them that right hand left hand combination. And then at any point in time, you have a player who can play spin really well, and you have a player who can play pace really well. So this is the kind of strategy that I think they'll also go for this particular World Cup. It's Puran, Hope, Hetmeyer, and Powell, and it's a really good middle order for them.
Absolutely. Puran, I think that's what I said. I think West Indies will use him up the order, get that as many deliveries as you can face because they enough have the firepower down the order. So that's not a concern. Sharfin Rutherford, as you rightly said, could be a backup. A backup of this man, who I think has been the most fittest player every season. He plays for the Kolkata Knight Riders. This season, I think he has been the fittest out of them. Andre Russell, along with the Romario Shepherd, sums up your lower middle order power hitters. Jason Holder is an interesting pick, but his experience could be handy. And Akhil Hussain. Talk us through these four players, please.
I think whenever they are playing in West Indies, they'll play all four of them. So it's going to be Russell at 7, Romario at 8, Holder at 9, and Akil at 10. So, but interesting thing is, depending on the opposition, they can probably drop Holder in some games and get an
Okay.
extra spinner in terms of Roston Chase. Because that's the
Okay.
only position where they can get an additional spinner. And in their group, they have New Zealand, and against New Zealand, they probably want to have that off right arm off spin option because they
Okay.
have Rachin Ravindra, they have Mitchell Santner, and other guys.
Probably a Devon
So
Conway as well.
yeah, exactly. So that's a game which is very crucial for them in the kind of group that they have, where I see Roston Chase playing instead of an additional fast bowler. But if you look at this lineup, so you have a guy who's really good in mid-order overs. That's Akil Hussain. He has struggled all the players,
Yeah.
all the good batters. You have Romario Shepherd, who is good with the new ball. You have Jason Holder, who is good at the depth and can also bowl really well in the middle overs. And he's that kind of a guy in the West Indies setup who can be that anchor if they lose quick wickets. So he's really helpful in West Indies conditions. And Dreras is in gem of a form we have seen
Absolutely.
this year's IPL. So I think this is the core of West Indies. This is the strength. These are the players whose form will decide the fate of West Indies.
Okay, so these are the core, and this is absolutely they will decide the fate of the West Indies. They're power hitters, but going to the remaining three, which is the pace bowling attack, Alzari Joseph, I think definitely plays in the playing 11 as my fast bowler. But what about the others? Shamar Joseph has been a bright future, has a bright future, but is he really a T20 material alongside Emote?
Yeah. So I think these are very strategic inclusions. So I don't see Modi and Shamal Joseph playing every game for them. And the reason being that if you look at their 11, as we have already discussed, all the slots of it till number 10 and 11 is Azari Joseph. And they probably don't need any additional pacer or spinner at the moment. And even if they need an additional spinner, they have the option of Roston Chase, right? Who is a like-to-like replacement with both bat and ball, the kind of role that Jason Holder is playing right now. So, what if you see the recent series that they have played in Australia? They have tested Shamar Joseph and they have given him enough chances there, and he performed really well with the new ball. And in the initial series, they were trying Obed McCoy,
Yeah,
but instead of Obed McCoy, it's really surprising that they have gone with Shamar Joseph. But I don't see Shamar Joseph playing in the initial
correct.
11, especially the big games. They can probably rest one of these guys and try him when they are playing against when they are not playing against New Zealand or Afghanistan. So that's some of the
Okay.
games where they can try.
Because the surfaces like West Indies, I thought hitting the pitch hard with your slow off cutters like McCoy does, I think that could have been handy. But that's a strategical thing, as you rightly said. We will see what happens. But we're done with the squad. Let's take a look into the fixtures of the West Indian team. Here are the four teams they are facing, starting with the Papua New Guinea, then an Uganda, then facing the big two, New Zealand and Afghanistan. Tricky fixtures. They're starting, but look into that. The After the first game, they have a huge break of 7 days. They're getting a huge break before the second game, but that doesn't matter because they're playing all the games at home. But how do you look into? Surely in the top two.
Yeah, I think in their group they should definitely qualify as one of the top two teams. And it's a really interesting group because their first two games are comparatively easy ones.
Yeah,
So if they win the first two ones, they have the momentum on their side. And when they are playing in their home conditions against New Zealand and Afghanistan, so probably even if they lose the New Zealand one, they have a big game, the game against Afghanistan, that will probably decide whether they're going to the
yeah.
next stage or not. So it's the fixture are also helping West Indies the way they are set up, and the home conditions will also help them. So I think the West Indies versus Afghanistan game is going to be the most crucial game in this particular group.
Okay, West Indies versus Afghanistan, the decider. And your thing is going to be the most important game. We will see that because we have to wait till 18th of June for that game to come up, to be honest. But let's take a look into the last three seasons of the T20 World Cup and what has been the result for the West Indies team. Yeah, it is 2016. They were champions. We can't forget, remember the name Carlos Bradford at the Eden Gardens. 2021, they were in the Super 12. 2022, shockingly, the Super 12. It's not been the best of the seasons for them, but they can definitely fight back.
Yes, I completely agree with you. They can definitely fight back. And if you see compared to the last two World Cups that they have played, so after that 2022 World Cup setback, they have really hit hard and they have really bounced back against every opposition. And this West Indian team looks very gelled compared to the team that played last World Cup.
Yeah,
And they have all the options available. All the players are fit. Most of them are in form, so they
yeah,
have a very gelled unit. And because they are playing in the home conditions, they also have a point to prove that they are the mighty West Indians who have won all the trophies. Right? So they have a point to prove. They want to show the world that okay, West Indies is not done and dusted. So there are a lot of things at stake for West Indies cricket, and that's something that kind of gives them that motivation, that kind of pumps them to perform well in front of their home
absolutely.
crowd.
And also the reason because they know have the firepower. They always play aggressive cricket. Aggressive brand of cricket sometimes can be very handy for you. And the power hitting doesn't stop for them. Starting from the openers till number 8, number 9, you were saying as well. So that could define their fate in the entire World Cup. So we will see that. We're done with this. Let's take a look into the top 5 players, which are the key for the West Indian side. Here are the 5 players I have chosen. Nicholas Puran is a no-brainer. Brandon King has impressed me in the recent past. Andrew Russell, Rovman Powell, and Zari Joseph. Here are the 5 players for me. Do you have any changes? Do you think any other player I'm missing you could want to add out of these 5?
I would like to add Shai Hope here because Shai Hope is the kind of guy who has literally made Delhi Capitals management to put David Warner on bench and play instead of David Warner. He's in that kind of sublime touch. And if you look at his fitness and fielding and all, he has improved everything. And especially in the home conditions when the pitches are tricky on the slower side, then Shea Hope will become their most important player around whom all these power hitters will play. So
Okay.
I think Shai Hope is one of those guys. If the pitch is on the slower side, but that's the kind of perception that we have because he plays Test cricket really well. But if you look at his recent performances, he has been striking above 135, nearly 140 for them. So he has been playing that brand of cricket that West Indies is known for. So I think Shai Hope is going to be a really great guy for them, and definitely Akil Hussain would be one of the
Okay.
other picks for me because in the middle overs, apart from Akil Hussain, I think that's the weakness of West Indies that they don't have a partner for Akil Hussain who can either restrict or take wickets from the other hand. So the role of Akil Hussain is going to be really important for West Indies success.
Okay, so you have gone with Akil Hussain, you have gone with Shai Hope. Then, if you're going with a Shai Hope, then I think there will be a choice between Shai Hope or Roston Chase in the playing 11. And secondly, how important is it, Deep? How important amongst all the firepower the West Indian has? How important is to have an anchor in that side?
Yeah. So if you look at their strategy, so their top three, I would say, is Brandon King, Johnson Charles, and Shai. And they are hoping that earlier they used to hope that one of their openers will click. Now what they have done is they have King and Charles in the power play. So instead of opening with Hope, what they have done is there are two players, at least one of them will try to maximize the power play.
Mhm.
And then instead of playing Puran, Hetmeyer, and Powell back to back, all the hitters who can either fire or you can misfire. So they have sandwiched Puran and Hetmeyer in between, and you have Shaiho. So this is the kind of setup where even if wickets fall from one end, you have a guy like Shaiho who can hold the innings, and then if Shaiho's wicket fall, you have someone like Jason Holder to come and play the same kind of
Exactly.
role.
Exactly. Yeah.
So this is the kind of balance that they have, and along with this balance, they have like placed the fire
Firepowers in
powers
between.
alternatively. So that's the
Absolutely.
kind of strategy, and I completely agree with this kind of Darren Sammy's mindset that they had in the 2016, where Samuels used to play the same kind of role that they are expecting from Shai Hope to play this time.
Absolutely. So you have summed it up. You have gone with Shayub, you have gone with Nakil Hussain. Out of these 5 players, plus your 2 players. So we are done with the 7 players to watch out for as we have summed it up, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go on to who are the leaders of the West Indian side. Here are 3 leaders. Robman Powell, the T20 captain for West Indies. Azari Joseph have been given the vice captaincy. And Darren Sammy, he's himself a T20 World Cup champion. So he knows it very much. He's constructing the team nicely. Can he bring back the trophy back home?
I think that's a really good question. So you have it's good to have Darren Sammy in this kind of setup, and Paul has led this West Indian side really well. And the kind of leadership qualities that he has, it's really good because his bonding with Admire as well as his bonding with Dreros and Holder and other senior guys is really well. And for this West Indian side, if it is really Jet side, then they can defeat any opposition on their given day.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I think that's why it's very important to have Darren Sammy and Paul, and this combination has worked really well for them so far, and I expect them to perform well and work well in the future also.
Okay, so you expect them to do well in the future. Most importantly, in this current T20 World Cup that's going to come back. So we are done with the leaders. Let's take a look into the predicted playing 11. Well, Deep, this is my predicted playing 11. I can somehow see there's absolutely one change you're going to somehow tell me after I'm announcing the playing 11. Brandon King, Shai Hope are my openers. Roston Chase at 3. Puran, Hedmire, Robin Powell, Dreras. I think there shouldn't be any changes in that. Romario Shepherd, Akil Hussain, Jason Holder, and Alzari Joseph are my playing 11. I think your changes is definitely in the top 3.
Yeah, so in my 11, I think both of them have 10 players same, but the only change here is that I have Johnson Charles in my 11, so I don't have Chase in my 11, which makes everyone's position like 2
One down.
becomes 3, 3 becomes 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you don't have a Roston Chase, then you just have one spinner. Will that be a weakness for the West Indian side?
I don't think so because the way they have been playing, and if you see Roston Chase with the ball, I think the two big sides, the two big games that they will play. So one against Afghanistan and one against New Zealand. So I don't think Roston Chase will come handy against Afghanistan. So I would definitely want somebody to utilize the power play. So Johnson Chance will come handy. And as I said, that against New Zealand, it's going to be a strategic call where I see Roston Chase play. So that's one
Okay.
game where I see Roston Chase play.
Okay, so you're going at a strategical thing, and you think the Hope will come at number 3, and you have Johnson Charles out there with no Roston Chase. Your predicted 11 is done. Even my predicted 11 is done. Let's move on to what is the predictions made by Deep when it comes to the top 4, the leading run scorer. Let's have a look. So Deep, here are the 4 predictions you have made: India, New Zealand, Australia, and West Indies. Against all of them, most of them, rather every single side so far, the 5 guests so far have chosen West Indies. No brainers. 5 guests have chosen India as well. No brainers. But Australia, you have chosen. But why New Zealand? Why not the defending champions England? Why not South Africa? Tell me the reason behind that.
So let me look at my notes. So the reason here was if you look at group wise, so group A is India, Pakistan, straightforward. Group B, England, Australia, straightforward. Group C, West Indies, New Zealand. And then group D, I have picked South Africa and Sri Lanka. Now, which means that when you go to the Super 8, in one group you will have India, New Zealand, South Africa, and England. So between India, New Zealand, South Africa, and England, I feel that New Zealand have better qualities to handle those high pressure situations as compared to South Africa and England. And we are also talking about games in West Indies where the pitches are
Absolutely.
going to be really tricky. And New Zealand have that kind of players who can play in any kind of situation, any kind of game. And there are guys, Darrell Mitchell, Conway, those kind of guys who are for big match players. And so that's why I have picked New Zealand a notch higher than England and South Africa. So India is
Okay.
definitely going to be qualified for
India,
that.
Australia, and
Then
West Indies are no brainers, to be very honest.
yes, and the second
Okay.
group is kind of easy. So
Absolutely. They pick themselves, but it's the group of death where Bangladesh lies, South Africa lies. Yes, I can understand that. But we are done with this. Now, going to the leading run score and wicket takers, I understand the reason why you have picked Adam Zampa, just because it's going to be spinning conditions and Australian conditions. But Virat Kohli, so many of them has picked Virat Kohli. So I think that's a no brainer. It's World Cup stage. He has to perform.
yeah, and if you look at India's last World Cup performances,
Every single time he's been the highest run.
Virat Kohli has been the instrumental guy. And if we are talking about India reaching to the finals or semi-final stage, then Virat Kohli has to perform. So I think that's the reason why I have picked Virat Kohli. And the reason for picking Adam Zampa is that if you look at Australia's bowling attack, they have a Stark, they have a Cummins, they have a Hazelwood, but it's Zampa in the middle overs whom I think the teams will try to go after, and
Yeah.
that's where Zampa is going to get more wickets as compared to the pace trial.
Other spinners. Okay, fair enough. So you have gone with an Indian and a South African. I'm sorry, Indian and an Australian when it comes to leading runs and wicket taker. I assume one of them will definitely be in the finals. What's your take? Let's see who does Deep think is going to be the T20 World Cup 24 champion. Oh, Deep, come on. You've gone with the mighty Australians once again. So you think the 17-year wait for Team India for a T20 World Cup dream continues? The reason behind Australia. I don't think so. There is much of a reason. It's just the mighty Australians.
Yeah, it's just the mentality and the Aussie mindset, the and the never losing that hope, that kind of attitude
The
that they
never give
have.
up mentality.
Yes, and if they are reaching that stage, I don't think they'll lose very easily. And the only time that we have won World Cup, we have defeated Australia. And there was a certain guy called Yuvraj Singh. We don't have somebody like Yuvraj Singh in our side to defeat Australia in World Cups. So
We have gone with the backup of Yuvraj Singh of Shivam Dubey, but I don't know how much he will perform at the biggest stage. But you have given your say, Australia, respected your decisions. We will see that from the bottom of our heart. We will support for Team India, but that's the reality. He predicts Australia. Fair enough. Let's go on to the trivia question we have for Deep when it comes to the West Indies quiz question. Here it is. Here is a question, Deep. Who was the leading highest wicket taker in the final of the 2012 World Cup, where West Indies won under the leadership of Darren Sammy? Who was it? Was it Ravi Rampal, Samuel Badri, Sunil Narayan, or Darren Sammy?
I'm very tempted to go with Samuel Badri here. Let's see if I'm correct or not.
Okay, your answer is Samuel Badri. Unfortunately, it's incorrect. It was the man with figures of 3 for 9 in his quota, Sunil Narayan. He was the player, and he was the man who rattled past the middle order of the Sri Lanka and got them the victory at their own den. So we are done with the conclusion. Thank you so much, Deep. It was a wonderful show. He has done and dusted the one of the hosts of the T20 World Cup 2024, the mighty West Indies. Thank you so much, Deep. Thank you to all the viewers for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the Fifth Umpire. Press the bell icon as well. We'll be coming out with more teams as well. Till then, thank you so much and bye bye.
Yeah, thank you.